Hey, group. I said to my journal this morning that it's really important to me to be bold. I said, be bold in my writing and in my living. So I'm going to boldly approach a topic today. The topic, I also consider myself a writer about marriage, and I'm going to boldly approach that topic. I was originally going to, Jay was going to be out of the house when I discussed this. He was at the doctor's office, but then I was doing something else and he's back, but he's down in the basement. And not that I wouldn't do this right in front of him, but I feel like I've given an impression of Jay that I'm like a big, sex maniac, and he's like not interested. And that's somewhat true. But it's not like he's completely uninterested. He's not, but he's just not as into it and as wishing for wildness as I am. But I really believe, you guys, that I would still say I have a happy marriage. And I often wonder what really is the purpose of marriage. Like, should it be based on like passion? Like, I've met people who think it should be, like, that's the thing. And that's not really the thing in my marriage, but there are also a lot of really great things, not least of which is economics and the stability of a family life. Like, Jay says he loves to come home, and I'm here, and I love to hear the sound of him coming home. Like, we have a good partnership for a family because we're totally different. Like I say, this summer I'm like Aphrodite, and he's like Hephaestus, the blacksmith. And they were married in Greek mythology. That's the thing with all this deep world literature, like all the metaphors, it's right. Like, Jay is literally always working on computer hardware or always like building a shelf. He's like building things. And I'm like trying to be all Aphrodite. So, and this is also a little bit of a bad time because he's going through some health problems. Like I mentioned the other day, his back was hurting him, and he has this nerve that's really bothering him. And he was actually at the doctor's office just now getting fitted for a hearing aid. He's never had great hearing, and it's deteriorated. Um, and he was like making a joke about it the other day, and I didn't laugh. And he's like, "That was funny, wasn't it?" And I'm like, pardon me if I'm not too excited when you're like laying there and you can't move because of your back and you're trying to get a hearing aid because you can't hear. Like, again, when I got married to Jay, I was 26 and he was 49, I didn't have a lot of foresight. I wasn't much of a thinker. But now here we are. I'm 42 and he's 65, and he's experiencing some things, and so am I. So, but again, I wouldn't say I regret it. I still think he was a good choice for me. Like, people have said that marrying Jay is one of the best decisions you've ever made, because having his support has allowed me to be crazy and really grow as a person. So I wanted to quote from this book I read a few years ago called um, The Fellowship, the literary lives of the Inklings. The Inklings, it's like C.S. Lewis, Tolkien, and then a couple lesser known gentlemen. And, I'm not a big Lord of the Rings fan, but I recognize J.R.R. Tolkien as a fellow eccentric. But anyway, oh, I also want to say I was reading this book one time at Chili's, where I used to go, and one of the staff came up to me and said, "Are you a writer? I see you in here all the time." And I said, "Aspiring." So you never know when you can just really make something moment special for a person. So me, the Inklings, Chili's, "Are you a writer?" The nice woman who was working there. But anyway, I wanted to read a surprising quote from Mr. Tolkien, or Dr. Tolkien, I don't know. He'd probably want some like weird elvish title or whatever. But he's talking about he was married to this woman named Edith. And he said, let's see, where'd it go? He said, the writers here write, it should be noted also that at times his views on marriage possess a startling originality, as when he asserts this was not a popular view in England at the time, that, this is J.R.R. Tolkien, nearly all marriages, even happy ones, are mistakes. So this is a struggle for me. Like the whole theme of liberation. Like sometimes I just want to be totally free, you guys, like just be a single person without kids, without a husband, just like living it. But at the same time, you also need support in life. So anyway, I thought that I think about that a lot. Like, was my marriage a mistake? I don't think so. I think, but I honestly, knowing now what I did then, would I do it again? Probably not. So anyway, trying to be bold, group. What does everybody think about that?